only thing that gon' be normal is distribution. Normal folks gon' infuse some. Optimize your lineups and you feed the rest, you mute them. Turning it up, these numbers are loud. Peeping this game from a nimbus is wild. Making it rain while I embrace all this risk, I'm insane. Talking about that best bill, I'm the best till into the next world. Guess I got next still. Best bill, I'm the best till into the next world. Guess I got next still.
And welcome into the Best Bell Fantasy Football Podcast live stream. I'm Bradley
Best
Salter.
Bell, not Best Ball.
Not Best Ball. This is Best Bell.
Best Bell.
That's right. And welcome to the show. We have a special guest. Goes by many names, but a singular reputation. Yes, get out the bells. David Bell, friend of the podcast. I should have put him as the opener. Oh, well. He is the best Bell, by the way, at least the one in the league. But special guest tonight, goes by many names, singular reputation, the Hogfather, the Mind of Mansion, the ADP Whisperer.
Ooh.
The Content Colossus.
Yes.
You better have gone to RotoUnderworld. You better be subscribing to all of the podcasts. PlayerProfiler.com CEO, the Podfather himself.
CEO, Chief Executive Officer.
At Fantasy Mansion on Twitter. That is the only Matt Kelley. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, at Fantasy_Mansion. I remember when I tried to get Fantasy Mansion, it was some real estate company already taking it. That was like in 2009. That was a long time ago. Couldn't get it.
I probably don't want to know what kind of actual mansion it was advertising for.
Fantasy Mansion, yeah. Back in the I don't know. Yes,
be...
they probably had that. They probably had it parked from before the crash, so it would have been really lame. Somewhere in Central Florida. I'm sure it was just awful.
Probably really
just
awful.
Plastic everything, right? Was this rock? Wait, I can put my hand through it? Wait, this isn't stone. What is this?
Nope.
This is paper mache. How is this $1 million?
It's not real. It's all fake. It's it's this FTX
but it's 7,000 square feet.
Goodness gracious. Well, Matt, thanks for making it on the podcast. It's great to have you. I've been an admirer of yours for a while, and I use Player Profiler so much. So to have you here on the podcast, this is amazing. So
it's great.
I'm even sacrificing. This is how deep of a sacrifice it is. Just for you, I'm sacrificing watching my Packers' undivided attention just for you tonight. You can even see the cheese head behind me. That's right.
It's hard for me, man. I'm pretty dead inside when it comes to giving any given football team my undivided attention. I mean, it's a 7-6 ball game. I guess they missed the extra point, or did they go for it? What happened?
It got blocked. Yeah,
they got blocked. Oh God. Okay, so sorry about that. But I have to say, like that, the overtime, Packers Cowboys overtime, that was good last week. That was pretty cool. I was happy. Were you happy that the Cowboys went for it? I know that, of course, you are, because the Packers won.
Packers win. That's all I asked for.
From an objective analytics standpoint, was that the analytical right move? Because it felt like it at the time. I was like, man, this is a long field goal. They've been getting this. They've been converting this down in distance, or 3rd and 4 all game. Go for it. And then he actually did. I was shocked. And then later, I was told that it wasn't actually anything about analytics, that he was just terrified of Aaron Rodgers, that Aaron Rodgers sort of has, is living inside Mike McCarthy's head. And that's really what happened.
He has to be living inside his head. It's been years since, Rodgers and McCarthy had their falling out, and don't even okay, you can get me started on McCarthy, but he got lucky, 10 years ago, that Rodgers was hitting on all cylinders, and he just so happened to be the coach. And then, I don't know, it's like what happens when you don't do those soft rebuilds in your fantasy leagues, and you just stick with the players for 10 years, and you trade away all your firsts and your seconds. You got nothing left to rebuild, and you're just stuck there. So,
welcome to the Rams.
Yeah, they're screwed, aren't they?
I mean, they microwaved a championship, and God bless them. It was, I mean, once every 32 years is on every given team, that's their rate of victory. If all else equal,
Right.
So if you can get a championship by trading some picks, you do it, man. You do it. You always
F them
do
picks, right?
It's just you got to know, when and where and the right time, right place, and they did it. They had Aaron Donald and they had Cooper Kupp, and it made sense.
All of their players stayed healthy.
God bless them. But
Yep.
I love that now, like, they're paying the price. Like it's being proven that no, you actually have the 1 year window, you microwave it, and then when things get cold out of the microwave, if you don't eat something out of the microwave when it's hot, then it gets all rubbery
Soggy
and
and
really shitty.
right.
And
Right.
now that's really the Rams. They're just this rubbery, falling apart, tasteless, nothing.
Gross. It's like
Gross.
old McDonald's,
Yes, it's it's cold French fries.
Ugh.
That's the Rams.
Ugh.
Sad. It's
And
sad.
there's not really much they can do to microwave it, like it's 3 times microwaved and it's just gross.
The total at New Orleans. Remember back in the day, Rams, Saints? Woohoo! Right?
Right.
Woo! Goff, Breeze. Remember? Woo! McVay, Peyton. Right? 50-point total. This week, 39.
Yikes. Well, when you lose arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, that will compound it. That will compound it.
Well, the counselor didn't think so. The counselor didn't think he was the best receiver. The counselor, he said that if Cooper Kupp finished as the top wide receiver in fantasy, that he would quit. So we were all cheering for this to happen, obviously.
Obviously.
And then he did. So through 9 weeks, Cooper Kupp was number 1 in fantasy points per game.
Right.
So and now he's locked in 23.9 fantasy points per game. Hill, Jefferson could catch him, but he has to run very pure. Jefferson
and
has to
Jamar
run real
Chase
pure
has
in
it
the
within his
second
range of
half.
outcomes too.
Yeah, Diggs not going to happen. Hill not going to happen. Hill's too volatile. They're not going to do it. So when a technicality, we could be like, hey, buddy, really, it's fantasy points per game. If you play more than half the season and you're number 1 in fit, that really should be the measuring. He was the best. Right?
He was the best.
So on a technicality, we could potentially get the counselor to quit, but why would you? It's just it's unintentional comedy.
But then it's more comedy. Like you got to keep him around for more takes like that because you want to keep manufacturing. It's about the clicks, know. So
Please, he's never actually said anything funny, but the joke is always just him doing what he's doing.
He's the punchline.
He is himself the unintentional shtick. Yes, it's one of the funnier things. and his rant how right he was about Cooper Kupp and how Cinderella can't go to the ball,
and he's willing
twice,
to fight people over it now.
Some cliched about Cinderella twice a year, whatever. You know what I mean? Twice in a lifetime, Cinderella slipper. Like, listen, buddy, it was the worst take because do you realize how easy it is, probability wise, to be right when saying a particular player's not going to finish at a particular ranking in a particular category at the end of the year? That'd be like if
we have odds for that.
Yeah. Fournette's not going to be the RB9, right? Imagine if I had said that, or Pollard's not going to be the RB17, right? Yeah, the odds are very high. I'm going to be right.
Right.
But he was even trending wrong on this until the injury. Ow!
Like literally the only outcome was that he needed to be number 1. So
the easiest position to ever take, right? And he was trending toward a just the L of all time until Cooper Kupp's ankle disintegrated. Anytime you go to the IR with an ankle injury, that's not a fracture. It's really bad.
Long-term. It's long-term, and it
really
affects them
bad.
Even after they come back, it's
bad. I don't like
70% of production, even the first couple weeks back. Like by that time, like some people were trying to trade for Cooper Kupp in the comments, and I'm like, no, do not trade for Cooper Kupp. Like even when he comes back, can you trust Cooper Kupp?
Damaged goods.
can't trust him.
Damage. He's going to be damage. Good. Look at the history here. We had Des Bryant was putting up, double-digit touchdown seasons year after year, and then nothing. And just whoosh, gone. Ankle injury, foot injury. Michael Thomas. Cooper Kupp was doing his best Michael Thomas impression, better, right? He was Michael Thomas 2.0. He was really Michael Thomas 2.0. He had the Michael Thomas stylistic
power slot, sometimes plays outside.
Exactly. He had the Michael Thomas style, the Michael Thomas game, and now he's got the Michael Thomas foot ankle situation. It's really all tied together. Where does the foot end and the ankle begin? Can anyone in the chat answer this question? Where does the foot end and the ankle begin? There's no good answer for this. And it's probably that entire area is just destroyed like it was with Michael Thomas. And now
hopefully he communicates with the Rams better than Michael Thomas, because Lord have mercy, that was a whole drama. Like,
is Michael Thomas ever going to play again?
I would say yes. I would say yes. Let's see him on the Patriots.
Oh, God, it's going to be one of those sad, like Reggie Wayne on the Patriots situations.
Yep.
Oh, God. No. Oh, I feel bad. It's like these guys
he's
are
not going to
us.
go away because he's a tantalizing talent. He's commands target share if he's on the field, and a team is going to take a chance on him.
It happens so quick in football. It's shockingly quick. It's so jarring how quick these guys vanish. It's such a brutal sport, and you feel it viscerally, like what's at stake and how fleeting it is and how fragile these careers are when you see these things happen. And you look up and the guy's 30 or he's 29 and you're like, oh fuck, we might not see you again. We
might not, and that'll be it. Like, whew. And Cooper Kupp's 29. It's not like he's 25, 26, and he can come back and have 4 more years of his prime. Like, we fast forward next year, he's 30 years old, and on what? A Rams team that needs to tear it down? Could Cooper Kupp be on the trade block? Like, that could be a thing where the Rams need to pivot. They need to, because they've got nothing else. Like, right.
Oh man. Like, we might have to adjust some assumptions with our 3-year projections for Dynasty at this point.
Yikes.
Oh my God. I'm starting to get a little nauseated.
Well, can we relieve that nausea with a question here?
Yeah.
All right. Let's start it off with a question about a rookie running back out of Kansas City, Isaiah Pacheco.
Well, there's only one of those.
Yeah. Rookie Isaiah Pacheco, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire is more like Clyde Edwards-Duh-Laire.
Clyde Edwards hilarious.
If ridiculous.
Yeah, Clyde Edwards ridiculously hilarious.
Isaiah Pacheco, he led them in snaps. He led in carries, right? He didn't get the touchdown, but like,
he didn't get any targets either.
He didn't get any targets. Well, that's the McKinnon role, Is he the lead back the rest of the season?
Edwards-Helaire was catching touchdowns. He was getting shovel passes for touchdowns.
Yeah.
So that's a way to score fantasy points is to get some random gadget reception inside
as long
the 5,
as he's staying
which is what was
on
happening with Edwards-Helaire. Edwards-Helaire really was the Truman Show. It was like, can you imagine like if you didn't trade him and someone had offered you and you saw the snap share declining and you were like, no, he's going to turn this around. Yeah, Edwards-Helaire is going to turn this around, right? And
he was an
totally
like running back week 1, and now look at his decline.
It was it was so obvious. Like, you said every week he's a sell. At this, when you're going to take the L on Edwards-Helaire? I was like, never. I'm going to run out the clock on this guy. I'm going to be.
Let's see week 11.
Soak up all the Pacheco everywhere in fantasy. Like, don't worry about it. I take the 0 on Pacheco and pick him up on the waiver wire.
Absolutely.
Go get him for nothing. And it's like the Jeff Wilson rule. The player I've traded for the most this year is Jeff Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, you can't get Jeff Wilson after week 2. And I was like, he's not on any waiver wires. And I was like, yeah, no kidding. I traded for him. You traded for him? I'm like, yeah, you trade. Yeah,
right.
Don't worry about the sunk cost of like fab bidding. Whoever got him, that's all they gave up.
Right.
They didn't give up a player. And they didn't invest in him, and they think he, at any moment, this guy could be replaced or this guy could get injured. You actually put a real player, if you had offered, say, Elijah Moore for Jeff Wilson week 2, right after waivers run something, you would have been able to close that deal. A lot of these receivers,
right?
A lot of these receivers, you could have just put Rashad Bateman. I wouldn't have done that. I'm too much of a Rashad Bateman stan. But there's been plenty, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. Go down the list of like 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round receivers you could have dangled in front of someone. They would have bet
all of them
Jeff
for
Wilson.
Jeff Wilson for sure.
Yeah, if I don't get a Jeff Wilson, like if I see this guy, right, and it was so obvious that he's going to be the number 1 back in the Kyle Shanahan offense, which has great weaponry. Even if you don't like Jimmy Garoppolo, you trust the rest of the weapons to matriculate the ball up and down the field. They'll get the job done. So we're going to look at some touchdowns here. So if you don't get him, just go ahead and start trying to trade for him, right? That's it. Just be, hey, what do you want for Jeff Wilson? And then your league mates are all scratching their head like, you just traded for this guy, guy just picked him out. You just traded for a guy that someone just got off waivers. And it's like,
yeah,
dude, you got to change all your priors, man. It's a Bayesian process. We now know this guy looks like a top 20 running back, and he could be even better, perceived as like a top 40 guy in this guy's head that just got him off the waiver wire.
Right. And that's playing the psychology of your fantasy teammates, fantasy league mates, because you mentioned sunk cost on your own end, but the other person didn't invest much. So
yeah.
You
And it was same with Pacheco. Like, it's not too late to trade for him.
This is the moment. This is the time.
Yeah. If you don't have him, you could still try to trade for him. I'm sure you could get. The problem is fantasy gamers are so allergic to giving up anything of value, right? What do you think Keenan Allen's going to do a goddamn thing this year? But I bet someone would give you Pacheco for Keenan Allen. Like, oh, he's Keenan Allen. He's going to be back. They keep saying he's going to be back.
There's been a lot of people asking that Keenan Allen's going to come and save me in the fantasy playoffs. I don't think so.
Dude.
I mean, week 17, they get the Rams, and the Rams, we thought going into the season, week 17, if you were playing the best ball, right, that was like one of the matchups, the prime matchups where, oh man, it's going to be Stafford versus Herbert. It's going to be Mike Williams versus Cooper Kupp. And now look, like
he comes back and he re-aggravates it, or he comes back and he hasn't been playing, and then he gets an injury in a different part of the body. This is what happens, man.
Yeah.
These guys have to play, and everything has to just line up just so. And that's if you're Cooper Kupp. That's if, your strength and conditioning is at a super high level. We know that's true with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he still lost, 2 months out of the season almost.
Right.
With a high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you're looking at Pacheco about to go up against the Chargers, one of the softest run defenses in the league, where it's a 51-point total. And they're going to be incentive. They're going to be sagging off. They're going to be forcing Mahomes, even if they call a pass play, Mahomes is going to check out to a run in some cases because they're just going to sag off and be like incentivizing them to run.
Check out. Here we go.
They're going to check out to eye patch, right?
I love
it. Do we have a? Do we? Yes. Here we go. So, are there like? I'm eye patch Pacheco, right? Like this is the guy. Like he's gonna
guy.
Like even if he doesn't catch any passes, like it's a problem if like no one's complaining that Dante Foreman doesn't catch passes.
Nope.
No,
because he gets 30 carries a game,
and he's gonna be putting up pretty soon, probably within a week or two. He's gonna be putting up. Who are they playing? The Ravens on the road this week. Okay, we're going to see it 28 yards and no catches, and essentially a nothing burger in fantasy because not only does he not catch passes, but he's on a bad offense. Pacheco doesn't catch passes, but he's even more explosive than Dante Foreman, and he's going to be getting some red zone work. They're constantly in the red zone, so a lot more just total fantasy point scoring opportunities. They're eventually going to draw up a couple screenplays to him. He's going to catch some passes. He caught some passes at Rutgers. He's been shown to be a competent pass catcher, but that 50-yard run
is within the range of outcomes for him.
It's out there. It's so out there. And as soon as it happens, everyone's going to be slapping their forehead. Like,
well, he was one of the fastest coming out of the NFL draft. And, this was one of the players that, you were thinking, well, what about the college production, right? At Rutgers, like, well, Rutgers had arguably the worst offensive line in college football. So
Worst offense.
yeah. So
Yeah, just putrid. The
now
poor
put
guy.
him
If he had
on
been,
the
imagine
Chiefs.
if he had just been at Ohio State.
Oh,
If he had been at Clemson, right? Oh, I've been playing behind ETN. I finally got my opportunity as a senior, and
this
just
is your chance.
shreds. He would have been a 3rd round pick.
Day 2. Speaking of a day 2 rookie pick, we have there's been a long going feud between 2 player profiler, either alumni or current staff, Cody Carpentier and Josh Larkey. And Larkey is pro team Brian Robinson, winning the job out of Washington. And what, Robinson had 26 carries this past game? Ridiculous. But Cody is still team Antonio Gibson.
Right.
And I want you to take a side here, Matt.
That's easy.
Who are you going with? Antonio Gibson?
We'll just go to our
Brian
dynasty
Robinson?
rankings. In our dynasty rankings, Antonio Gibson, similar age because Brian Robinson was a senior,
Right.
didn't do anything in college till his final year. Has reasonable size-adjusted speed, but 15th percentile burst and even worse agility. Impressed absolutely nobody at the Senior Bowl. Impressed nobody at the Combine. Impressed nobody through the process.
Except somehow the Washington Commanders.
Yeah,
somehow.
imagine if they had switched places, Pacheco and Brian Robinson. Imagine where Brian Robinson, he would have gone undrafted.
Right.
If he was at Rutgers, he would have gone undrafted. Do you realize how many guys I've seen that have the Brian Robinson profile and go undrafted?
Literally, it's like the Tyler Algiers of the world.
Not even. Gus Edwards, his best comparison player on Player Profiler is Gus Edwards. What college did Gus Edwards go to? Rutgers. I'm not kidding you. You think I'm kidding? Go to Player Profile right now and look it up. Look it up. You think I'm kidding? That's who he is.
I don't think you're kidding.
I like Gus Edwards. I think he's a fun player. Gus the Bus, right?
But he doesn't catch passes. At least
That's
he has a
Brian
nice yards per
Robinson.
carry.
Right,
At
he's
least
on
he has
a
a nice
bad
yards per
team,
carry,
and he
but-
doesn't catch passes. He's a between the tackles grinder,
Right.
putting up 3.3 yards per carry every game.
He's a low
Not
end
catching
RB2 if he falls
passes.
in the end zone.
Antonio Gibson can take passes and
To the
score
house.
touchdowns from the 50-yard line. He can take
Right.
toss sweeps and score touchdowns from the 50-yard line. When you look at, a critical receiving metric for running backs like yards per route run, he's top 5 in the league. And literally, it's the 5 best receivers in the NFL out of the backfield. It's Kamara, it's McCaffrey, it's Gibson, it's Swift. It's like a who's who, right?
If you're there, it's
Brees
Antonio
Hall
Gibson.
and Antonio Gibson. That's like and it's like, whoa. You see some of these lists on data analysis, which is where you can sort all our metrics on Player Profile. And it's like, okay, well, what's going on? Well, I've seen this before. I've seen NFL coaches get it wrong time and time and time again. They get it wrong. They get it wrong. They get it wrong. I mean, they were playing Shi Smith over Terrace Marshall. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Shake my head.
It doesn't make sense. Even Robbie Anderson over Brand. Why would you play Robbie Anderson over Terrace Marshall? Terrace Marshall is just imagine a better version of Robbie Anderson every way, and a more trusted teammate.
Right.
I mean, talk
Robbie
about
is
just
so
a guy that's just
volatile.
going to freelance out there,
Yeah.
and you're never going to know where he is, which is why he can't command any targets in Arizona, right? It's like, why do these coaches do this? It's either veteran deference, or it's just some sort of loyalty to draft capital, right? Some coaches don't fall for this, right? Some coaches, like Shanahan, that he has his many flaws, but that is one of the things that you love about him, is that he's going to put the 3rd round pick and the 6th round pick in a competition and just pick the best guy.
That's the Eli Mitchell formula, right?
Exactly. But that's not what's happening in Washington. So over time, either Gibson's going to go to a different team,
Which we hope
or he's going to be thrust back into the starting role. And he was productive. Right.
He was,
so I understand that
Yeah.
if you run your projections based on the depth chart, And you see that, okay, if he's the starter and McKissick is there, the projections, Josh's projections, I'm sure, favored Robinson. But
Right.
we know that, McKissick misses games. Robinson misses games. Guys miss games. And then when given the opportunity, can this player give you a spike week? Can this player be useful in best ball? So a guy like Robinson, I'm never going to draft him in best ball. He's never going to be useful. A guy like Gibson will be. So the hope is that they change coaches. The new they
get new ownership, new coaches.
Teams. Yeah,
the whole bit.
They get new ownership in there, new coaches, and then they actually implement a meritocracy where they retest these guys in the 40 and they reevaluate their skill sets, and then they'll see exactly what everyone at the Senior Bowl, the Combine, and every has seen the difference between these two players. So longer term, I don't see much of a future for Brian Robinson beyond a Gus Edwards type role. But anything can happen with Gibson just based on the team he lands on and the coaching staff. So there's a lot more upside.
Former wide receiver who, as you mentioned, just high juke rate, able to catch the passes. I mean, we saw when McKissick was out last year, Antonio Gibson, top 5, top 7 running back?
You can't explain it, right? I mean, there are players that I contend if they were used differently early in their career, they would be viewed totally differently. They would be viewed as superstars, like Jerick McKinnon, right? These are players that, yes, he tore his ACL and
he was brought into San Francisco to be the superstar, but
right. Remember how his dynasty value popped over the summer?
Oh my God.
His dynasty value was a straight line up that summer, his first year in San Francisco. And I can guarantee you there is one team out there who sees Brian Robinson, has, for however he's done it, subverted Antonio Gibson. And they're like, we got to get Gibson when he becomes a free agent. And they believe in him like San Francisco believed in McKinnon.
Right.
And McKinnon, again, hopefully doesn't tear his ACL like McKinnon, and you're going to see his dynasty value just. But the cool thing is, we've seen this before. We've seen all these movies before. Like we're like the IMDb. We've seen all the movies, so our dynasty rankings have all this baked in. That's why Gibson has twice the value of a Robinson. And so if you were kind of new to all this, and you're playing fantasy for the first time, and you go to our dynasty rankings, some of them you're like, this is kind of weird. Where are they getting all this? And they're like, we're getting this from the comps, right? And Gibson has incredible comps, both athletically and with his efficiency metrics. And all these comps for Brian Robinson are dynasty duds.
Antonio Gibson, Player Profiler's comp is Joe Mixon. Holy buckets.
Do you remember how long it took Mixon to seize the primary back job?
Gio Bernard was there, and it was just
3 years.
My God.
He had his McKissicks and he had his P. Ryans the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the Joe Mixon formula.
It is. It's the Mixon McKissick formula.
I like it. Name of the podcast. There we go.
Yes,
okay,
indeed.
Let's move on.
Did Mixon have a good week this recently?
Will Mixon? He came off the bye.
No, I know recently though. Has Mixon had any good weeks lately?
Oh, any good weeks?
Any like a 5 touchdown game or anything like that? 7 touchdowns in a game,
pretty close to
maybe
a
11
record,
touchdowns
right?
in a game. Did he do something like that?
That would be close to a fancy record, wouldn't it be?
Yeah. Well, who has the record? Is it Kamara?
It's something. Yeah, Kamara I think is 6.
Something. Yeah, he had something. He was challenged. He was a pretty good week. Pretty good.
Joe Mixon, pretty good. Antonio Gibson, also pretty good. Justin Fields, also really good the last 2 weeks. He's been the quarterback 1 each of the last 2 weeks. He's been a top 5 quarterback each of the last 4 weeks. At least he's throwing 20 passes a game, right? That was the worry at the beginning of the year was, when are they going to unleash him? When is Eberflus going to unleash Justin Fields? And we've seen him now unleashed, 178 rushing yards, quarterback rushing record.
I mean, I think that's just confidence. I don't think that's unleashed.
Is it?
And he did that earlier in the season, and they called back the 50-yard run with a penalty. So there's been randomness. I mean, I played that 50-yard run on my podcast, and I was like, what if, right? What if this run had counted? How would people perceive this guy? You got to get him, weeks before he had the actual breakout. But I mean, that was pretty impressive. I mean, he had some real stinkers in there.
He did.
I mean, we're talking about like 70 passing yards and 2 interceptions. I mean, it was crazy.
We thought that it was Matt Nagy 2.0, at one point of like how they were using Justin Fields. It was disgusting.
It was not good, but you trust the process with these athletic quarterbacks that eventually they'll figure it out. Josh Allen eventually figured it out. Fields is figuring it out earlier than Josh Allen did. And I think if Fields, because we know he has touch on the deep ball. We saw it at Ohio State. We've seen it in flashes. So I think that there's going to be a big week for Mooney coming up. I'm trying to get out ahead of it. That's what I'm hearing from multiple sources, is that Mooney's going to have a big week this week. And I think it's within the range of outcomes. I don't know about you, Matt, but Justin Fields versus Lamar Jackson, is it only a matter of time that Fields can take over Jackson if Fields gets an alpha next year like Smith and Jigba? I mean, I hope so. That would be cool, right? I mean, let's see, where will they be picking in the draft? The Giants, they're 7-2. Bears are 3-7. Wow. So the Bears are the same record as the Panthers. Oh my God. How is that possible?
Because they've got a bad defense, Matt. They've got a bad defense.
God. The Saints,
that's why you got to be in on Justin
draft
Fields.
picks.
Oh,
isn't that funny?
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, that was one of the worst trades. I mean, great, congrats on getting Olave, but one of the worst trades to get one of the best wide receivers that I've ever seen.
Like the Eagles,
it's a very specific thing right there. But Bears 3-7. That would be a little early to go wide receiver. I don't know.
Trade back and get 2 of them.
Yeah, I would. If you're going to be in the top 10, unless it's a Jamar Chase level talent, I'm not a fan of going receiver that early. If you can get like a premium edge rusher or a left tackle, I would do that.
Yeah, their defense needs a lot of help after trading away Smith and a few other pieces. So
he's fine. Mooney is really quality. I mean, he's like sort of a lesser. Sort of a lesser Jalen Waddle, right?
Yeah,
like that's how I think of Mooney. He's sort of like a discount version of Jalen Waddle. And Jalen Waddle on another team could easily be a true number 1, and then that'd be fine. So I think there's going to be they can make some free agent moves. I mean, they are throwing a lot at the problem, right? They acquired Equanimeous St. Brown. I think he's been like a nice story, but he just doesn't have the build. He's like, anytime you're like 6'5", 190, that BMI doesn't work at the wide receiver position. He doesn't work in football, period.
Yeah.
Maybe
see some flash plays, but that's it.
I know, right? But it's just, you can tell like it's not quite. You need to be like Randy. He doesn't need to have like Randy Moss level speed to make that work. So. And then they're N'Keal Harry. I like at least this new regime in Chicago,
trying to find the diamonds in the rough.
Making an effort to get to try out, because eventually you take enough of these receivers off the scrap pile, one of them is going to hit.
Well, N'Keal Harry was a 1st-round pick for a reason. Dante Pettis was a 2nd-round pick for a reason. Like, it seemed like Pettis just couldn't get out of the doghouse, and then it ruined his career in San Francisco. So, God, Pettis gives me PTSD, because trading him was one of the first dynasty trades I made, or trading for him. That was a mistake.
It's perfect though. And for fantasy, what you want is a true number 1, no number 2 of consequence. Claypool, just forget it. And then you have the tight end. So you have a pass catching athletic tight end with a receiver with speed that can stretch the field. That's the perfect combination. Like, that's what we were going to have with Lamar, with Andrews and Bateman. So it's a real shame we didn't get, because that's the perfect, when you have a mobile quarterback, that's the perfect combination.
Wait a minute.
With Lance to have like a Debo and a Kittle.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that's for fantasy. little bit crowded with Ayuk in there too. But that's the thing with fantasy. If it's just the two dudes, then everyone can eat, right?
Right. I just
And that's the thing with
realized
the Eagles.
Yeah.
The Eagles right now, I'm very, very bullish. I know they're injured and they're so they're not they're at least practicing on a limited basis. But I was not bullish on Devontae Smith up until this moment. So I'm feeling like I'm going to be right on Devontae Smith every step of the way. Like he's going to be super volatile. You're never going to know when to start him. He's best ball receiver. Sure enough, he's wide receiver 25 with
and he's had a number 1 finish.
Yeah. Number 1, number 119, number 54, number 12, number 54 again, number 69.
Well, the pass volume is so low, it's going to be either A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith. Or
you remove Goddard from the offense.
Right.
And now you're down, you've whittled down the target distribution, the reasonable target distribution just to these two guys. So now it's you can get very bullish on these guys for DFS, especially. I love playing A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in DFS. Certainly stacking with Hurts, but even when you don't stack with Hurts.
Yeah, just playing them solo like you're going to play Hurts naked too.
So you don't need to play Hurts naked. The only quarterback I really play naked. We invented a new kind of stacking this year. We have a show called the Stack Fest on Roto Grinders with myself and Eric Beimfor and Dario Offstein. We invented a brand new type of stacking where you play Fields with 2 of the receivers on the other team.
Brilliant.
It was brilliant. We played Fields with Hill and Waddle. It was genius.
So how badly are fantasy managers who had Ertz and Goddard, how badly are they screwed in fantasy moving forward?
Yeah, there's just not a lot of good options at tight end. I know that in deep leagues, everyone's trying to grab Trey McBride. I don't love it. I don't love rookie tight ends, period. And
he didn't command any targets when he was getting even the minimal snaps out there.
But the problem is Marquise Brown's coming back.
Yep.
And Rondale Moore has stepped up.
Looks good.
And he was always
Moore looks like the real deal.
A phenomenal prospect because he was one of the more dominant receivers as a freshman. We love freshman year production at Player Profiler. And he had one of the most dominant freshman seasons, especially at a major conference program. Age 18 at Purdue, the guy was a complete monster. He put up 1,200 plus yards on 114 catches as a true freshman. That is incredible, with 750 special teams yards. So the guy put up, this is a true fact, he put up over 2,000 scrimmage yards as a true 18-year-old freshman.
That's how you know he's good.
He's freaking good at football, bro. Okay. And now they've decided, wait, if we target him, it's a good idea, Cliff. So now they figured that out. And you know that there's the great rapport with Brown and Kyler, and Hopkins is back.
There.
So
he is back.
Someone needs to explain the math to me on McBride. I don't see it. But I also don't see a lot of great options either. Njoku hopefully will be back soon. That's exciting that we can
Harrison
get
Bryant,
him back.
Nothing more than a touchdown dependent tight end too, right? It's like
I do think that you could always keep going back to the Foster Moreau because Foster Moreau is an athletic tight end, man. Anytime I look up and I see a guy is one of these uber athletes, I get excited. Then sure enough, there he goes. 40 yards and a touchdown.
That'll do it.
Giving you the 14 fantasy points. It's like, that's manna from heaven, man.
That's
if you're
what you need
when you're in need of a tight end.
In deep leagues, I'm going Tyree Jackson eventually.
Harrison Bryant.
Yeah.
That's another great, he's not as athletic, but that would be a bridge to Njoku.
Award a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, he won the Mackey Award, and he was also, it was basically at that Senior Bowl. I was at that Senior Bowl. It was him and Troutman dominating that Senior Bowl, but Troutman's been injured. And Juwan Johnson is a former receiver at Oregon. He's athletic, and he's more of a move tight end, but in an offense that's devoid of talent outside of Chris Olave, it makes sense that Juwan Johnson would put up points. So I actually prefer, like, for example, if I had to stream somebody, probably would go Juwan Johnson over Trey McBride.
I like that call. He's shown some touchdowns.
Juwan Johnson's the real deal. I'm also excited to see what Likely can do moving forward, even when Andrews on the field. If they go to just power, right? If they go 12 personnel every time, they should. I would. If I was Harbaugh, I'd be 12 personnel all game, Likely on the field all game. So you think about it. Okay, so we get in our heads like, this guy is the starter. This guy's not the number one at his position. But if you actually take a step back and go, what's the target competition in Baltimore?
Is he going to
DeMarcus Robinson?
No.
Okay. James Prochet? Fuck out of here, man. Okay.
But
really, what's the target competition in Arizona for Trey McBride? It's like a mountain of talent. So Likely is likely going to outproduce Trey McBride in that scenario.
Even though he's not the number one tight end on the team, it doesn't matter.
The position.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Come on, man. Think about it. Like, think it through. Like, put yourself here. One thing I've noticed that a lot of people, especially in the chat comments, they don't think it through. Like, you're take a hike. Hut, right? Take a snap.
Look
survey
around.
The field. What are you going to do? You going to throw to McBride?
Nope.
Are you going to throw to Really? No, you're not. I'm going to find Likely a lot. Think about it.
Going to find Likely or literally any of the other Arizona receivers.
It's called target competition. It's one of the easiest places to find value. Understand the contextual production within the prism of target competition. It's the same thing with college players. Why do you think Metcalf and A.J. Brown were such great picks in the second round? Because they were competing against each other at Ole Miss.
Oh, and another Ole Miss wide receiver too.
I mean, Elijah if I were Moore. In the NFL, I mean, I would be just burning up the phone. Like I'd somehow try to get, the who is it? Douglas? Is he the general? Joe Douglas? So, yeah. Is he the general manager of New York, the Jets?
Yeah.
I believe it's Joe Douglas. I tried to do everything I could to get Joe Douglas's phone number and text him every single day about Elijah Moore. Every day.
Why weren't the Packers doing that? Why weren't the Packers just, what does it take to get Elijah Moore? What does it take? Because it's probably not,
it's incredible. Enough. They've already committed to Garrett Wilson with a first-round capital. Wilson.
Corey Davis has the money. He has the contract.
They paid Corey Davis. It's one of the easiest transactions, hypothetical transactions you could ever make. Is because go get Elijah Moore. And even the Packers said, we're looking for a receiver that's on a rookie contract who is underperforming.
Jerry Jeudy.
I wonder who that might be.
Like, what did fantasy managers do with Elijah Moore, though? Because I've been stuck with him in a bunch of leagues. I liked him as a prospect, and I think I'm just holding because I don't want to sell.
Well, not in seasonal leagues. You let him go. You drop him.
No, but in Dynasty, you got to hold on to him, and I don't think you sell low on him. So
no, he's a hold or a buy.
Yeah,
he's a buy hold. I call it a buy hold.
Buy hold.
The problem is it's a buy hold because whoever has him probably likes him, and if you have Elijah Moore in Dynasty, you probably focus on the right details. It's like if you have Rashad Bateman, whoever has Rashad Bateman at this point in your Dynasty league is smart, knows what they're doing. Like he's like top 10 in all the key metrics, like yards per route run. So, air yards, it's all that stuff. It's like air yard share, all that shit. He's performed well in all those metrics. So you're not going to get in. And he was a dominant college receiver with target competition in the form of Tyler Johnson at Minnesota. So it checks all the boxes, and he's going to show up next year in even better shape, even more. He's going to be probably like 205, super sleek and fast. He's going to be incredible. He's on the Keenan Allen career arc. We talk about what is okay. Gibson's on the Mixon career arc. Absolutely. Remember, Keenan Allen missed years.
He was
of his
injury
career.
Prone. Remember, he was injury.
Oh
prone.
yeah, you remember he lacerated a kidney.
People were like,
really?
That's not reproducible.
Yeah, he was out for the year with a kidney. I mean, it was all these problems like ankles and feet and hamstrings. This is who he is, and this is he didn't get his career started until like year 3. So I mean, this is Bateman, like 100%. So but by now, like I'm in leagues where I've traded for him in a bunch of leagues, so like it's all shaken out. Like you go ahead and try to get Bateman. Like no, it's not happening.
All right, Matt, we'll give you an opportunity to take a victory lap on Tony Pollard. But what are we going to do with him this week when Ezekiel Elliott is actually back?
How about them Cowboys? I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen. I ask McCarthy what's going to happen. The guys need touches to score points. You can't score any fantasy points without any touches. So they got to give him touches. The nice thing is you got to remember the Gallup's coming off a torn ACL and he's not the same player.
He wasn't the same player the last couple of years. Like if you look at all of his metrics, they were just getting worse and worse every year. And then he
led the league in drops recently, a couple of years ago, or he's never been that good actually, or he's been average his whole life. Maybe that's it. Anyway, there's not a lot of target competition there. It's Schultz. And this is a prolific. There's a fast-paced offense. Dak is vintage Dak right now. Right. He's giving you those 30 rushing yards and a touchdown now. You know that's how you know he's all the way back.
CeeDee Lamb is looking good.
Lamb's putting up 40 points a game, but there's going to be games where they can't get the ball. So even if Zeke is out there, they're going to play him in the slot still. They're going to have these formations with Pollard on the field. When Pollard's on the field, they also draw up plays for him specifically, so he can do well like Aaron Jones. He can do well even without like the massive workhorse snap share. So you play him like you play him. And what's great is you play him especially much more in DFS if Zeke is active. You want him active so that you can play Pollard at low ownership. Right. And then Zeke either goes out in the first quarter or they get into comeback mode and they give Pollard a lot more snaps. So they ease Zeke back in and Pollard gets that 70% snap share anyway. There's so many different scenarios where Zeke is active, Pollard's low owned, and you get to smash with a guy that should be, 2-3 times the ownership. But, Zeke is active. So my projections don't have Pollard where other guys are.
Yeah, it's about the upside there too.
I'm always rooting for these that whenever the cardboard cutout primary guy is like questionable, might play, and then ends up being active, I can't wait to play the other guy in DFS in tournaments. It is like the perfect scenario. It pays off so often it pays off. It's great.
And when it pays off big.
It's so good. Like Ramondre with Damian Harris is active.
Right.
It's like, please, Damian Harris, please play. Please, for the love of God. He's playing. Yes.
Well, is it too late to buy Ramondre? Because he's been crushing lately.
Yeah. I mean, it's ship has sailed.
Okay.
Like the ship is out of the harbor.
He's been a back end running back one. He should last 5 weeks or so.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? You
got him cheap or
yeah. I mean, you're not gonna in dynasty and in seasonal leagues. You're gonna have to give up a lot for him. I mean, and
he's going as a 2023 mid first that on Keep Trade Cut.
Damian Harris is gonna be back. And he is gonna eat away at Stevenson's
goal line work,
everything, his touches in general, because Harris hasn't been healthy. So they come out of the bye. Harris will be much closer to a 50-50. This offense is not that great. So what happens is whenever fantasy gamers start fixating on the guy's brand, right? It's like, some nice restaurant in the shitty area of Times Square, right? And there's like piss and scallywags all over, and there's one nice restaurant. It's like, listen, guys, look at this place. I don't want to go there.
No,
you know what I mean? No, like you love look at the area it's in. This is not actually a great environment to have dinner. Okay, this is not a great environment for a guy to score fantasy points. If you take a step back, he's the RB10 right now. He's not going to, this is probably his peak for the season. And he's going to start leaking fantasy points, finish maybe RB18, something like that. But it's not because of him.
Right.
It's because of this offense. It's not a good offense. And
not a good offense.
Harris is going to be healthy.
Committee, the whole bit.
So what do you're not gaining anything. You might as well just, it's one of those things
sell him for that 2023 first.
He's about to be 25.
He's getting to that age
right? I mean, he was, I think he was a transfer to Oklahoma, and he was an old transfer. He might have been a JUCO guy. So, we're talking about, his first year in a major conference, he was 22 years old, right? The guy in his age range to get now, if you're going to pay, would be to overpay in quotes for Rachaad White. Yeah, that would be the move. That would be
Rachaad White is the guy. He's the guy.
Yeah. I'm overpaying for Rachaad because that's happening. And Rachaad White is actually, he profiles as a more difference-making asset in Dynasty. He profiled a guy like Ramondre Stevenson.
Catch passes. He's on a good offense.
Yeah.
Assets.
He's got soft hands. I love big running backs with soft hands that are great out of the backfield. And he breaks tackles, right? He's got an incredible juke rate. So, so he does have like a Le'Veon Bell playing style. So Ramondre could absolutely, he's very Le'Veon Bell, if you think about it. Very close comp to Le'Veon Bell. But he's just not that explosive. So for me, I tend to lean toward the running backs with explosiveness, and you can typically find them in the discount bin at some point in their career, whether it be like, a DeAndre Swift right now. People at fantasy managers get pretty frustrated by him.
For sure.
Now would be a time to try to swoop in. Obviously, Breece Hall's out for the year. Swoop in on him. So they're
Williams,
Antonio Gibson, Pollard before the year. So Pollard was a classic overpay, where it's just so obvious. White's been a classic overpay. Try to get him thrown in, and even now we talked about with like Jeff Wilson in seasonal leagues. Now would be like, oh, it's too late. Cat's out of the bag, Podfather. Yeah, cat's out of the bag, and I'm still trying to do deals. Like I'm who knows? You never know. Like I put a package together where I would get Christian Watson this week, and be like,
he's a buy high.
I'm like, well, I don't know what that other fantasy manager actually thinks about Christian Watson.
Right.
Maybe he thinks that he got lucky with 3 touchdowns and he thinks he's selling high and he thinks, oh, this guy's a sucker. I've been trying to unload. I've been waiting to unload Christian Watson all year. I don't believe in this guy. You never know. And the guy might come back and be like, no, Christian Watson's not off the table. I'm not going to deal Christian Watson. And it's like, okay, we'll talk about someone else then. That's cool. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
We'll let you have your Christian Watson.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing with Rachaad White. Like, let's make a deal, buddy. The problem in Dynasty is, I've been trying to do a deal with a guy. I have Kelsey and Hill in Dynasty, and it's a rebuilding team, and I'm doing everything I can to get rid of them, right?
Right.
And I'm trying to get picks. I'm trying to get assets. And I'm like, you're a contender. You're number 2 with a great team, and you have Breece Hall. I have Kelsey and Hill. This is the easiest deal of all time.
Immediate smash.
And he says, no, he's not interested in trading Breece Hall. Breece Hall is not available. And I'm like, that's fine. Like in a lot of cases, it's like, hey, listen, I don't quite have the horses to get this deal done. I get it. Most people don't have, right,
what it takes.
Hill and Kelsey.
Right.
2 of the signature difference makers, like in all of fantasy. Like there's Jefferson. There's just a handful of dudes, and I have 2 of them.
Week winners.
Yeah, I'm like, I got what it takes, bruh. And he's like, no. And it's like, you know what? You don't want to win. You're what's wrong with Dynasty.
Win now.
You're why
Like, if you
Dynasty is so
can,
easy to win,
now.
because when I'm in first place and you're in second, you're slow
actively
playing.
working against him. Like, he's actively working against himself.
Yeah. He's always letting whoever's in first place, he's always letting that person see the river. Always. And it's like, hey, just let me get a free card on the river, you sucker. Why don't you actually try to win? You're it's almost like they're card collecting. It's not a rookie card. Okay? You're trying to win a league.
Try to win the league.
Trying to win in Dynasty is contrarian.
Which is bizarre. You know, you imagine you enter these leagues, but I think some people are just so fixated on, I want the possibility of rebuilding. Dynasty gives me the ability to be my own GM. But you know what? There are a lot of crappy GMs in the NFL too.
What if Breece Hall is awesome and I feel bad later?
Oh, well, you know what? You won your championship.
Hey, Burks has 60 catches. I was 6 for 60.
I was about 60 catches.
Yeah,
I
read that wrong. I was like, wow, Burks has 60 catches. That's a record.
Right now,
6 for 60, 666.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Oh my God, Burks is no longer cursed. 666.
Yeah, it looks like Tannehill and Rodgers are doing okay. Aaron Jones 6 of 20 on the ground. We knew that because Tennessee's run defense is pretty good. Dillon is 3 for 2 on the ground. Also not surprising. Yikes. 8 completions for Aaron Rodgers. But let's move to the Rams backfield, because I just, I'm a glutton for punishment. Will Kyren Williams be the Rams backfield savior? Because it's not Cam Akers, and it's definitely not Darrell Henderson.
No, Kyren Williams runs like a 4.7.
Look, this is the Notre Dame glasses that I'm wearing.
Like, these are inconvenient truths for people that love like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's a small, slow satellite back that doesn't catch passes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire fans. Never mind. I loved him at LSU. Okay, good talk.
Yep.
Right? He's James White. Like, Kyren Williams is fine. He's a small, slow, very, very completely and utterly adequate.
But Sean
receiver.
McVay loves Notre Dame players.
I don't care.
He loves Notre Dame
players. He's not giving you anything above
Ben
replacement.
Skoranek out-targeted Allen Robinson for most of the season.
I prefer Skoranek in Dynasty to Kyren Williams.
Okay, deal.
I like Skoranek the rest of the way. I think Skoranek is interesting the rest of the way.
He's got some nice metrics.
Skoranek has been the one commanding the targets. It's not Van Jefferson. It sure as hell isn't Allen Robinson.
Like, Skoranek played in the Super Bowl last year. Like,
Skoranek is interesting, but he didn't play at Notre Dame.
Oh, well.
No. So, yeah, I'm not wait, he did play at Notre Dame.
He did. He did play at Notre Dame. Yeah, he did. That's what I was saying.
I can't believe it. That was just like an offhand remark that you just say that. But yeah, he actually did.
He did.
Holy shit. Well, you were like, wait, didn't he play at Notre Dame? I'm like,
that's what
I don't know. I didn't look it up.
That's what
and then I did look it up. I was like, wait a second. That's so funny, because I was like, I know there's 100 schools you could have, but I was like, let me look that up just to be sure, because I actually don't know.
Here's the thing, Matt, is I went to Notre Dame, so I would know.
Yeah, you knew.
I knew. Yeah. It was kind of cheating. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
the Bears, like Equanimous St. Brown, Cole Kmet, and Chase Claypool, all Notre Dame.
Yes, makes sense. Makes sense. You would know that. That's good. Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting guy. I mean, the game total is very low. There's not going to be a lot of points scored, but he could actually be the one that racks up a bunch of catches. No, I'm not starting Kyren Williams. I'm not in a hurry to pick him up. I'd rather pick up Keontae Ingram. Keontae Ingram's way more interesting, because Keontae Ingram actually has size. He has receiving skills, and
James Conner
he's
great.
earned the trust of the coaches. They're like, Eno Benjamin, goodbye. So that's a great example of,
coaching. The coaches tell us. The coaches are telling us.
And just their profile and their comps. Like, why do I know Gibson's better than Robinson? This is how. Like, how do I know Ingram's better than Kyren Williams? And, people will ask me, like, how are you so confident in some of these takes? And I'm like, because we've been doing this for many years, and we've seen, like, it never fails. I mean, of course it fails. Like, certainly it's possible that
but they fall within a certain
guys
range
can turn to dust for lots of reasons. Like Cam Akers ruptured his Achilles, and he refuses to learn the playbook. So if you refuse to learn the playbook, you rupture your Achilles and you won't work out with the team, right? Then okay, right? Then you're then okay. Like you're not gonna you can comp to you can comp to Lawrence Taylor all you want. No, I mean, sorry, LaDainian Tomlinson. Imagine if he comped to Lawrence Taylor. That'd be great.
That'd be wild.
That'd be really. I wonder who's a running back. I think that comps, but maybe could be Pacheco. He's a slasher. But anyway, so there's certainly outliers, but what you won't see is you won't see an Edwards-Helaire ever. And so I'm talking about with like supreme confidence. You'll never see them like actually get on the same plane of existence as like a full-blown like Heisman Trophy caliber Jonathan Taylor level.
Well, and that's
talent.
why it was wild that Jonathan Taylor was picked second behind Edwards-Helaire in nearly every
crazy.
Draft.
And so when anyone says like, oh well, Washington prefers Robinson, it's like, yeah, well, okay.
Eventually they'll change their
Edwards-Helaire to Taylor and Swift. So that doesn't tell me anything.
Right. It's wild.
All right, we got a signal. It's interesting.
It is.
And you can why did Pacheco fall the 7th round? Well, we have our answer. It was the incompetent Rutgers offense, but he was still the team captain. The coaches loved him. His teammates loved him. He didn't transfer like everybody else. There's something to be said for that.
Well, let's move on to an Indianapolis Colts wide receiver, Paris Campbell. Is it about time that Paris Campbell... Okay, let's take a step back, because Matt Ryan is now the starting quarterback back again for the Indianapolis Colts and Jeff Saturday.
Right, as predicted.
Right. This was telegraphed.
Did you think Ellinger was going to start 12 games?
No, I only thought...
Who thought that?
Once Reich was fired, it was back on the table that Matt Ryan was going to start. And I was saying that the moment he was fired, this was Eli Manning 2.0. This was Eli Manning 2.0. They got one good look, I guess now 2 good looks at Ellinger, and said, we've seen enough. We're going to fire the OC. We're going to fire the coach. And now it's Eli Manning 2.0. Matt Ryan's going to get back into there. And Paris Campbell has had double-digit targets, on average, each of the last 3 games that Matt Ryan's played?
He's exactly what you want. Everybody needs a Paris Campbell type player, right? He's like, imagine Kadarius Toney, but bigger and good.
I mean, it's true. He's so fast. He's so agile. And he's big.
He's like 6 feet.
6 feet,
200 plus. He's rocked up, man. He was the real deal.
Out of
you get a field stretcher with size. He was more productive than McLaurin when they were. Remember the whole notion of target competition. Whatever Brown did at Ole Miss, made whatever DK Metcalf did more impressive. Whatever, McLaurin did reflects well on Campbell. So we knew this. He just broke his arm. He broke his leg. He broke everything at some point, right? Shattered his shoulder.
Foot fractures multiple times.
Yeah, it was really sad. The guy,
hand fractures, hamstring strains, ab strains. God help us.
Yeah,
Paris Campbell,
abductor, whatever that is. So when a guy can finally get healthy, and it was just sort of he'd just stop walking under ladders and back of cats. This is what happens. Donovan Peoples-Jones, these are it's just not surprising that athletic players perform well in
who'd have thought
athletic.
A game where you have to compete athletically.
I mean, really,
against another athletic player. If you're more athletic, you're gonna win more often. That just it fits. And Paris Campbell,
how easy it was, how fast everyone just decided they didn't want anything to do with Jarvis Landry ever again.
Oh, and then
that's because he's a volume fueled possession receiver. Who, is, again, very gutty and gritty and tough and all those things. But, I mean, you saw it. You saw why he was productive and no one was like playing him in DFS and tournaments. Like that wasn't a thing
But he was
anyone
the
ever
cheap
did.
buy low. He would command a target share.
It
We'd
was
get
like a
open.
cash game value play sometimes. That's because the guy can't break away for long touchdowns. And that's what makes all the difference. That's what creates spike weeks. That's what you want in best ball. That's what you want in DFS tournaments. This is what Paris Campbell delivers. This is why he was the best pick in the double-digit rounds, the late double-digit rounds in best ball. He was the best pick. All year we had him as the best pick. Always Paris Campbell. It's obvious.
Right now,
obviously.
DraftKings, he's wide receiver 28.
Yeah.
4,300 right now.
And Donovan Peoples-Jones, same thing. Donovan Peoples-Jones is about to get. So if you're looking for the next Paris Campbell, it's Donovan Peoples-Jones. All he's doing, he's going 4 for 4, 5 for 5 with Jacoby Brissett, giving you like 100 air yards a game. And then he's going to get Deshaun Watson, one of the best deep ball passers in the league. And Deshaun Watson's like going to make him Will Fuller.
Oh, you'd love to see it.
It's going to happen.
My bold prediction.
Yeah, these are my two favorite plays. Like I like Christian Watson, and I know, again, he got the touchdown.
Right.
But
you can't trust that 40%
I
target
don't like
share.
Aaron Rodgers. I don't like the Packers offense. I don't like that Alan Lazard is not like traded. Like he's on and right now we're looking at 5 targets for Lazard, 1 for Watson. So that's why it was like a contrarian take. It's like, you prefer Peoples-Jones and Campbell to Watson on the waiver wire? It's like, yeah. Do you know how slow and shitty the Packers are?
So slow.
Do you know what's about to happen in Cleveland?
And plus the weather.
Have you been watching Paris Campbell?
They should be watching Paris Campbell. He's been crushing. And yeah, it's all of those wide receivers. Donovan Peoples-Jones is my bold call to outplay Amari Cooper this year. And it's not come to full fruition yet, but is it within the range of its season's not over? And we've seen Amari Cooper have 0 games. And
Will Fuller had a run where he was, for 5 weeks, he was out producing Hopkins.
I was laughed at. I was laughed out of my own podcast making that bold call. But we're here for some spicy takes.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a couple more, and then we'll let you go because you've been so gracious, Matt.
I have been very gracious.
Very gracious dealing with my
podcast has been going on a long time.
Too long.
No, it's not too long. I do 2-hour podcasts like it's
it's your job.
Like I'm reading a bedtime story.
Is week 11 Terrace Marshall week? Is he going to break out this week?
No.
Baker Mayfield's back, the 3rd string defensive tackle for the Carolina Panthers.
No. I wish. Didn't we get? Do you know how many implied points the Panthers have this week?
I can look it up.
You should look it up. We have it actually on playerprofiler.com. We put the implied points right there.
Cripes.
Okay, let me just tell you, they have the lowest implied total
probably in the season.
Vegas believes the Carolina Panthers are going to score 14 points. Okay, so here's how it works. Here's how projections, and here's how it works. You guys want to be like top 10 in Fantasy Pros? Easy. Write this down. You want to be a full-time fantasy analyst? Come work for Player Profiler. Here's how you do it. You sit down, take the implied points, right? And then you take the target shares and the touch shares and you distribute those 14 points, right? So that's 2 touchdowns, everybody at home. 2 touchdowns, right? You take those 2 touchdowns and then some other stalled drives. And you allocate all those points to Dante Foreman and, a little bit to Chuba Hubbard, a little bit to Black Shear. Okay. DJ Moore is going to get the most of the wide receivers. You're going to get some to Tommy Tremble. Don't forget Tommy Tremble, right? Then whatever's left over, you got to give all the rest to Terrace Marshall, and he's going to score 8.6 fantasy points.
Gross.
That's how it works. Just so everybody knows, that's behind the scenes with fantasy and how it works. It's how people have won zillions of dollars playing DFS with that type of formula. It's not that hard. So this ain't the week. I love him, but there's going to be weeks where he plays Atlanta, and that's great. And you're very happy to play him. There's going to be those weeks, and there's going to be weeks where they go at Baltimore and you run and hide.
Right. And Baltimore even though they're the number one wide receiver points allowed. Literally, they added Roquan Smith plus a bunch of rookies off the injured reserve. Plus, they're getting their secondary healthy. Like that.
Yeah,
stat
Marlon
is
Humphrey,
so
is he healthy this week? I think he might be.
I think he is. Like
So if
those
I look
stats
up
are
Marlon,
deceiving.
so we have cornerbacks on Player Profiler, and the match he's it says he's matched up with DJ Moore. That means he's healthy. So if Humphrey's back, like whatever the fantasy points allowed to wide receivers, that was because they didn't have Humphrey.
Right.
So
Humphrey's so
like
good.
everything changes. It's the whole reason why without Chidobe Awuzie, you actually do want to play receivers against the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
So
look at what happened with Amari Cooper. Dude crushed.
Right. So this is the week. You want to play a receiver that's exciting with upside, that plays on the outside with athleticism. I give you George Pickens. That's the move this week. It's not Terrace Marshall in DFS everywhere. It's Pickens. The Steelers have a hell of a lot more implied points this week than Carolina, and the Bengals defense is, in worse shape at this point, just because of the health of the secondary in particular, than Baltimore is. So these are the little details. I mean, that's the thing. It's all there. It's on Player Profile. You can go to Marlon Humphrey. You can see that he's matched up with DJ Moore and be like, oh, he's healthy this week. Okay, I guess my assumptions about this defense are faulty. Not necessarily 100% aligned with their personnel. Okay, you make these changes. Oh, what does Vegas think? Oh, well, Vegas
thinks this is going to be a blowout,
warning us.
Yeah.
Right. And so when Carolina puts up 6 points, right, when they go under that implied total, when they put up 11 points or whatever it is, 11's a hard total to get to. That's really tough.
That would be real hard.
They would need a safety or something. But if they put up 13, right, 2 field goals and a touchdown,
that's
you're not allowed to be surprised. And that one touchdown will be like, some random screen pass to Blackshear.
Because of course it is.
Of course. So you shovel pass to Blackshear, whatever. The bottom line is gross hell, and it's why super smart people do weird shit, like start Skoranek over DJ Moore.
Right.
Like stuff that like no like normal
and then you end up
person,
being right. It's not just that
it's no normal person would ever do that. Right. But then you look up and you see some weird stuff and you're like, that's probably why. Like, or you starting Pacheco over Dante Foreman.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, but Dante Foreman was really good and Pacheco hasn't done anything. Hello, McFly.
I literally have Isaiah Pacheco this week ahead of Donta Foreman.
Of course you do, because you know what you're doing.
Pacheco at 27, Foreman at 30 this week, as wild as that sounds.
Listen, it's almost like I know things about where people have people.
We know.
The Podfather knows things. Just ask Jonathan Taylor.
All right, last question, and then we'll let you go, Matt. Jaylen Warren, is he the new Tony Pollard?
No. What? No. If Dallas had an even worse offensive line, a rookie quarterback who was unproven, and Jaylen Warren was not as explosive or as good in the passing game, then yes, because I think Najee Harris is similar to Zeke right now because Najee Harris isn't healthy.
That's true.
So we might be looking up and Najee Harris had was playing on a torn PCL or something.
Liz Frank, I think that was re-aggravated a couple weeks ago.
Whatever it is, something. It's. So I think that's what's happening, but it's an apples and oranges situation. Like he's not the same guy. He's not a similar player. I think the best comp for Pollard so far this year, and it's really sad, was Herbert going to IR. Herbert was a guy that we had pretty high in Dynasty, kind of discount Rashad White type.
Because it was just
Pollard, like the horses were out of the barn with Pollard, and then it was like, who's the next Pollard? It's like White or Herbert.
Right. I mean, we saw what Herbert's ceiling was last year and this year too, and it's the running back one even without catching passes.
Herbert's he's so chiseled and strong and good and great. Super, super nifty player. I love him. That was a gut punch. I'm in these deep leagues, these high stakes leagues and these dynasty leagues where we start 3 running backs, 3 flex, crazy Scott Fish type leagues where you need Herbert's important in leagues like that. He matters.
You're usually
playing him every
wide
week.
receivers in the flex, but you're starting Khalil Herbert in the flex.
I was starting Herbert, man.
For sure.
Oh yeah, I was happy. And then so that was a real gut punch. I just ended up with a lot of Herbert this year. He had a 30-point week.
Yep.
He had multiple 15-point weeks. So it's
and those 15-point weeks were with less than a 50% snap share. He was not getting.
I didn't care. I was starting him. Fuck it. Right. So
that'll do it.
Because the Alfred Morris corollary, it was cool. Josh Larkey, formerly of Player Profiler, he interviewed Chris Johnson, and Chris Johnson explained how Fields and Lamar, they freeze linebackers and they make it life easier. Right. Imagine Devin Singletary if you didn't have Josh Allen. I mean, he would be Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's not that good. He's not good.
But he didn't have the draft capital, so at least you weren't buying him in that way. But
yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, there are certain players we know, they're never gonna pop in Dynasty. At no point were we ever you're gonna get Singletary. He's benefiting from the Alfred Morris corollary, right, where everything is easier if you're behind Josh Allen. Everything's easier if you're behind Justin Fields. And so Chris Johnson really explained this really well, and how the running lanes really open up in the, when you're running the option. And so it was a cool thing. And we know it, we see the efficiency numbers on these types of running backs. That's why I'm not calling it. I'm not calling in the corner on J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins needs to be picked up. He needs to be stashed in seasonal leagues. He's on way too many waiver wires.
If your league is an IR, what does it hurt? You've got an open IR spot. If he does nothing, he's just holding an IR spot. If he does something, then you've got a high-end RB2 with RB1
trade,
upside.
get him thrown in.
Yeah.
He's gonna be back. Right? I mean, it happens, man. Some of these guys
rushed him back or something.
Remember Rashad Penny had a sick last 6 weeks of a season after he was thought that his knee was never going to be the same. And this happens all the time. Yes, his knee's not the greatest knee.
But all you need is
can he have a great 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Yes. Especially with Russell Wilson freezing linebackers.
There we go. Freeze the linebackers. Matt, it's been great having you on. I appreciate it. And make sure that you're following Matt Kelley, the Podfather himself, at fantasy_mansion. Player Profiler. Make sure that you are getting all those subscriptions there. I mean, there's free stuff too. Use the free stuff.
So much free
use
stuff.
the subscriptions.
Too much.
I don't even know.
There's too much free stuff. That's what they tell me.
How do you even stay in business with all the free stuff that you're giving away?
I don't know.
What are the promos you got for,
I don't know.
for the
I
people?
Sleight of hand. Shell game. We make it happen. No, the subscribers we have a lot of subscribers. We have many, many, many thousands of subscribers because we have the data analysis tool. We have the Dynasty Deluxe, which has Trade Finder, look up trades in leagues and analyze your trades. And we have, our rankings. We have offensive line rankings. We have cornerback rankings. We have the best rankings. We have, I think about the high stakes guys that help us out. Theo and Muzio. I mean, it's a very high IQ place. And the content is really good. That's free. And then the premium stuff is even better. Our draft kit, all these things. So it's not, there's a lot of sites that are, that have subscription services that are just sort of doing, just enough. Right. And the way our free stuff is like above and beyond. I can't believe all these articles are free and all
It's
these
literally
player
tip
pages.
of the iceberg. Like if that's free, you know,
like
what's
the
underneath.
premium stuff is the same thing. It's like I can't believe there's all this stuff, you know. Like, so, you know, we're already rolling out, like we're working on like rookie rankings for next year, and you know, it's like, you know, it's that kind of thing.
All right, wonderful. Well, good luck to my Packers. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't care what happens to Aaron Rodgers. He can lose all the games as far they're what is it, 20-9?
Oh God. Is it that bad now?
This is the real Packers.
No.
This is what we're talking about. Christian Watson, one target.
Derrick Henry pass.
This was
to
what
Austin
I was
Hooper.
worried about.
Goodness gracious.
I told you.
Oh God.
Temper you know, turn down the bid volume. I mean, I saw some crazy bids on Christian Watson.
Lord have mercy.
Pretty dumb. Love
All
him.
right.
Love the player. We love athleticism.
We do.
But I mean, it depends on the context, how much you want to, you know, when you're looking at just pure raw athleticism, contextually, the ramp up to, you know, big time difference maker, consistent, you know, top 25 wide receiver weeks, the probability of getting that out of a Donovan Peoples-Jones is like many times more likely than getting that from a Christian Watson.
That's the show.
Bye, everybody.
Hey, really the only thing that gon' be normal is distribution. Normal folks gon' infuse some. Optimize your lineups and you feed the rest, you mute them. Turning it up, these numbers are loud. Peeping this game from a nimbus is wild. Making it rain while I embrace all this risk, I'm insane. Talking about that best bill, I'm the best till into the next well. Guess I got next still. Best bill, I'm the best rest till into the next world. Guess I got next still.